I want to talk about people and how you can use them to build relationships and put it at the heart of your marketing for your businesses. So I've worked with some very, very large organizations across the world, and I've worked with some very, very small ones, some startups, and I can see throughout them that there is always a common trend, and it's always the people. So I just wanted to go through that today. Who am I? This is my crew. I run a marketing agency in Brig. And this is back in October when we were promoting Christmas advertising campaigns. So in my wisdom, I thought we'd all wear Christmas jumpers. I'm not wearing anything seasonal today, just a standard outfit. But we focus on running creative campaigns for people. And this is, today what I'm talking about is essentially how I run the business and how we work with our clients. So giving away some secrets, but that's absolutely fine. We're a small team. We like to do big things. We like to do interesting things. And coming to talk today is one of those. So, what do I put at the heart of everything that I talk to clients about? These are happy chickens, the premise being that they lay more eggs. Now, I realise these ones are a bit young to start laying eggs, but I couldn't find any better pictures in party hats and that sort of thing. So, what I want you to think about is not just the fact that your employees, your team, your suppliers, the people that you work with, need to be happy in order to be more productive. You need to think about it from the client's point of view, your clients, your customers. If they're happy, they're going to lay more eggs for you. They're going to keep coming back. They're going to get you to do more for them. They're going to spend more money with you. And so you've got to keep them happy. And putting people at the heart of that is the best way to do it. So we make sure that in our team that the guys are always doing work that they feel is valuable. That we make sure that they're doing work that they enjoy, that fits with their skills. And the most important place that I've worked up to now that has taught me this was at Facebook. So a few years ago, I spent 3.5 years working at the Facebook UK office when it launched. It was the first non-US Facebook office. And as you can see from some of the pictures, we did a lot of playing. But we only got to that point by working really, really hard. And the good thing about Facebook is that it gives you the opportunity to do what you're good at. It does not recruit on skills necessarily. It recruits on attitude. And the reason they do that is because they can teach you anything that you want to learn or they want you to learn. They can't teach you an approach. They can't teach you enthusiasm. They can't teach you how to be an ambassador of the brand. And you, as a business owner, as a manager, or somebody who works for someone else, you want to be an ambassador for the brand, and your boss wants you to be an ambassador, but also your customers, your clients, use them as advocates, use them as ambassadors. Because at that point, they're doing the hard work for you. So if they're having a great time, and you're making sure that they feel valued and you're doing great work for them, they unwittingly tell people about you, whether that's online, offline. Working at Facebook, you'd imagine that online is my core, but actually, it's got to be a blend of the two. So this moves me on nicely to technology and AI. When I first saw AI, bear in mind that I was born in 1981. Don't use that against me, the cybersecurity people. I was born in 81, so I grew up with Ali G and all that. So when I see that, I'm like, aye. You might not remember it. Don't know. Anyway, so AI, artificial intelligence, technology, don't be scared of it, but don't think that you have to embrace it either. So I know what Chris was talking about earlier, all those apps, fantastic, absolutely fantastic for a business. We use G Suite because we're creative and cool and all that sort of thing, but actually the premise is still the same. You've got to make sure that your business is using technology well. But in order to use that, you've got to make sure that your people know what technology is out there. Give them the opportunity to get out there and find the stuff, and then talk to your clients about it. If you know about stuff that's beyond what they might expect you to talk about, and you can introduce these things to them, you're adding so much more value. So you're starting to practice what you preach. And putting all this at the heart of what you do with your people means that you're getting better skill sets within your organization. You're then enabling them to become better versions of themselves. You have to train them less because they do a lot of self-training. and it all becomes this kind of perfect environment where you can go and put your feet up as the business owner, which we all want to do. So this 7/11/4, it's not an important date that can be stolen by evil people. This is what a load of studies were done recently about how long it takes, what it takes for people to purchase, to have the confidence to purchase something. And so the 7 here is 7 hours. The 11 is 11 interactions, and the 4 is 4 locations. Now, you might think, this probably would apply pre-technology, pre-online. You know, people would go to a shop and they'd spend hours and hours looking at a TV or something like that. And they'd probably they'd look at reviews in magazines, they'd ask their friends. They'd do loads and loads of things, and then they ultimately buy it. So if they've got 2 different options that they're going to choose from, the one that they choose is generally the one that's ticked these 3 boxes, the 7 hours, the 11 interactions, and the 4 locations. Why is that important for you guys as business owners, as people working in a business? It's because you've got to make sure that people see you in the right places. You've got to make sure that people engage with you in the right places. Coming to events like this is great because you can talk to people, you can explain what you do, you can learn what they're doing, you can talk about stuff which is completely not relevant to work, which is my favorite thing. And at that point, you're starting to build relationships with people. And they're starting to understand what they do and building that most important thing, which is trust. So I didn't put this in knowing that Richard was going to be here today, so it's not some kind of ask 'em right love-in. Although, just for openness, he is married to my wife's cousin, which I think is very Lincolnshire. I'm from Lancashire, so I'm allowed to say these things. But this is something that we've set up from the business, which is a series called Napchat. And the premise behind it is sharing information with people that they might just want to read casually over a cup of tea, or share with their friends, something that's just a little bit extra that really isn't selling us as an organisation. So we're interviewing people. One person every week goes out onto our Napchat feed, and it's just stories from around the world. So we have, between the 5 of us in the business, we have plenty of connections, lots of interesting people that loads of people haven't actually heard from. Everyone here has now heard from this man, so you probably don't need to go and read that. But there are plenty of other people who are really interesting. So the idea here is, right, let's set the tone of voice for the business. Let's say we're here to share information. We're here to help you guys learn more. And I guess that's why I come and do talks as well. But by doing something like this, we are not saying, we're a marketing agency, come and use our services. We're just saying, spend a few minutes learning about what Richard did and getting some pearls of wisdom and seeing if you can apply that in your world, or just something to chat about when you're sitting with your friends in the pub at the weekend. So as a business, if you can add some extra value using something like this, you're going to make people actually learn to trust you, want to share your content a bit more, and want to share your brand, your business. And so this is a campaign I worked on a few years ago when I worked for a much larger agency. We are relatively small at the moment. We don't have brands like Top Man that we're working with. And this campaign was really, really good. It was about getting people to a place that they couldn't actually be. They couldn't physically be at London Fashion Week. So Top Man put them in the front row of the catwalk. And they could do that using Facebook. What was the benefit for Top Man? Well, they got loads of data. They could start marketing to people. They got a load of branding. London Fashion Week went wild about it. It was fantastic. But this is about thinking about people, what they are doing when they're consuming your information and engaging with your brand, and how they feel about it when they're there. So the people, Top Man's audience, they love clothes, they love fashion, they love seeing what's coming up next, they love seeing the ridiculous stuff that's going down the catwalk that no one's ever going to wear, but lots of people get excited about. And then they could see all the celebrities who are in the front row of the fashion show. And this worked really, really well because we understood the audience. We understood what they wanted to engage with, We understood how they were using the content and how they were consuming it and where. So people were sitting there on their phones watching this fashion show, telling their friends to get involved as well, commenting as it went through as a live feed. So this doesn't have to be for big brands like Topman. It could be any size of organization. Really understand what it is that you are trying to get across to your audience, to your consumers, to your customers, where they are doing that, and how you can make them feel without interrupting their flow. But there is a massive but, I suppose, a big hairy but, as my history teacher used to say when he was going through the history of the First World War. You've got to make sure that you don't go off on a complete tangent. People will associate your business with what you do. The more you can get your tone of voice right, the more you can get your messaging right, the more you're in those places where people can spend the 7 hours, 11 interactions, 4 locations, the more people will get used to you. If you suddenly go off on a wild tangent, people will think, what on earth are they doing? What is this campaign all about? Why are they trying to talk to me about something that they clearly don't know anything about? So think about what your business does as its core. I'm not trying to stem your creativity here. You've got to make sure that you're doing something different, but make sure you stay in lane. Make sure that you're focusing on what you're doing so that people can get that core message through. And let's not forget. So the other day I was in an innovation conference, and I was elated to learn that I am officially a millennial. That starts in 1981 and runs until about 94 or something like that. So I thought I was before that. But we've got to understand how these different groups of people work. So in your organization, if you have 2 or 3 people, if you have 20, 200 people, you're probably going to have a range of different mindsets. And so the important thing here is to understand, well, actually, let's not put people into categories too much, but let's understand what makes them tick. Let's understand these core skills that people have. I think it was Ant earlier that was saying that, his cousin is engaging with things, even though he's only 15, 16 years younger, in a very different way from him. Understand that, harness it, because the people in your organization will be able to communicate with your target market really well. And as time goes on, the younger generation are getting older, they're getting more money, they're able to spend it, they're becoming your audience more, and you can then engage with them properly. Don't suddenly go, oh God, I've got to deal with someone who understands how Snapchat works, and I really don't understand that. Actually, if you just think about it more, they still want to interact with your brand. It's just that's the platform that they're going to use. You mustn't be scared of it. And I think a lot of the stuff that Chris was talking about earlier with the technology is you don't know what you don't know. There are so many apps out there. There are so many things that you can integrate into what you're doing as a business, whether that's to help your business procedures, your business flow, or whether that's in your marketing, whether it's in your sales, whether it's in your employee engagement. If you're using this stuff really well and you're just investigating, don't use it all at once because you'll absolutely blow your mind and get nothing done. Just try in little bits and pieces along the way. You're going to start talking to these people who you might ordinarily have been scared of. We're going to, at some point, start employing people who are born in the 2000s, which is just utterly ridiculous. But that's just the way life goes. Time ticks on. So you've got to understand how these guys work, set boundaries for them, and think about the same way with your consumers, with your customers. The first one, really, is knowing your audience. Understand what makes them tick. What makes them tick will be different from what makes you tick, but just understand that. You get engaged with them, and they then become your advocates, and it's just really easy from there on. Second thing is your tone of voice. Keep that consistent. Understand what you want to be able to be pushing out as a business. It doesn't have to be clever. You don't have to go into a 20-page, House of Fraser length document about the tone of voice and, Jill, who's 44 from Oxford and all this kind of stuff. You don't need that. You just need to let people understand what it is that you're trying to get across and be consistent with it. And the final thing is using the people within your organization, using the people that you're talking to, using the people who love you as a business, I mean. I'm not talking about your wives and girlfriends and things. Use them for better, because make sure that they feel part of the business. Make sure that they feel part of the marketing, the sales, the success. And then make sure that on the consumer side, the customer side, that your people understand who you are, because that makes it so much easier to buy from you. I run a marketing business, and I'm not that bright. So it can't be that difficult. You know, you guys running businesses, you should be able to make marketing part of what you do. Just really think about what people want to buy from you, the services that you offer, the products that you provide, what makes you different, and get that across in a really clean way. Because if people can understand that, in amongst all the guff that they're reading every day, or hearing, watching, they'll buy from you much more readily than they'll buy from the next person.